So good morning, beautiful people. I am so blessed to be here and to be with each and every one of you on this glorious Sunday morning. And so today we're going to continue our July series, which is on seeing the sacred in everyday life. And today the topic is going to be the body, about honoring the physical body in sickness and in health, in perfection and in imperfection, and how doing that is honoring life in all of its dimensions. So then the question is, how do we honor a flesh and blood spirituality? It becomes challenging because we live in a world where there is this false dichotomy between the spiritual and the material realms. And we live in a culture that has historically divided us from our body, both religiously and politically and economically. It's a division between the soul and the body, or spirit and matter. And it's pervasive in Western culture, starting from its roots in the Bible, as well as its roots in Greek philosophy. And whether we want to admit it or not, whether you claim or grew up in a Christian kind of household or background, those really structures and systems really permeate our culture and the way we think about the world and ourselves. The body is essentially tainted. We've been taught that. We've been taught that it's tainted, that it's impure, that it's suspect, and that's even evil, especially women's bodies. Yet the irony is, even though we kind of distrust the body and we don't really take it as seriously or take it as part of this way that we engage our spirituality for the most part, there's still this hyper focus, a very toxic hyper focus that we have historically had on the body, and the perfect body at that. What does that mean? Again, especially for women in our culture. The Bible teaches us that our bodies are the temple of God. We see that a number of times in the Bible. But what if you saw someone vandalizing or damaging a temple dedicated to God? Wouldn't you consider that a crime? Of course, you would. But we abuse and vandalize God's temple, our bodies, all the time when we deprive it of rest and sleep, and we overeat and we undereat and we put too much stress on it and we fail to take care of it. I'm sure you all have had that experience. I don't know any human being would be able to say that that has not been part of their human journey. It's certainly been part of my journey. I grew up in a household with a very toxic lineage of negative body image. And that was from the color of your skin to the way your body should look, or the way you needed to prove yourself with your body in the world. However it was, there was a very toxic relationship that was passed down generationally to us. I was extremely overweight as a child, and I developed a lifelong battle with weight loss and weight gain starting at the age of 12. So for decades, I was in this struggle. And no matter how thin I was, it was never, ever enough. I remember looking a number of years ago at a picture of myself in my late 20s. And I was wearing a bikini, and it was the first time ever that I had worn one. And I was looking at myself, thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I was so tiny. And I remember that person who took that picture then feeling so uncomfortable in her skin and thinking that, again, I wasn't thin enough. I wasn't looked good enough, that I really probably shouldn't be wearing that. And in that moment, I felt sad and embarrassed, actually, for my younger self, that I believed that my confidence and my worth was measured by my pant size. Well, much of that changed for me, whether I wanted to or not, about 8 years ago, when I discovered that I had a thyroid condition. And so the interesting thing is that, oftentimes, and I'll talk about this shortly, is that, your body will tell you that it can't go on anymore. Your body will be leading the charge to say these toxic relationships must change. They need to change. And so I went from being obsessed, with having my weight and my body be a full-time job. I mean, it felt like, now I can see that it was a full-time job to constantly be thinking about what I was doing or what I wasn't doing or what I was eating or what I wasn't eating, how I was looking. It was just exhausting. When thyroid condition came on, I had no choice. My body decided that it was going to gain, I think, 30 or 40 pounds. And no matter what I did or didn't do or ate or didn't eat, it was not going to budge. It was what it wanted to do and where it wanted to be. And in that time, I really learned to have a different relationship to my body and just accept myself for where I was and just become peaceful with that. And I'm not saying the struggle is over, but it was a very different change that occurred for me. But it was my body, my own body, that really signaled that and called the question and was like, oh girl, we're done. Like, it's over, and that's where I was. So I'm sure you all as well I'm not alone in my story. I'm sure you all have your own stories about different struggles with your own body in many different facets. So why do we do this to ourselves? And the bigger question is, how can we restore a right relationship to our bodies as temples? So I want to kind of give ourselves a little context here, and talk about the body in the Bible. Because I think it's really important as New Thought metaphysicians, as Christians, New Thought Christians, that we kind of understand this legacy that we have, right? So we talk all the time about, really, when we look at the Bible metaphysically, it's about an evolution of human consciousness. And the same goes for how we look at the body's evolution in human consciousness. The idea of the body permeates the Bible in so many ways: Old Testament, New Testament. From the beginning in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26 and 27, we're told that God made us in the image and likeness of God, that we are in the image and likeness of God. If we go forward a little bit later, that becomes a little questionable or a little complicated with Adam and Eve after eating from the tree of knowledge. And so we're taught that we as people did bad things with our body. And so we then became separated and punished from nature and from God and from ourselves and from each other. And so there was this kind of disruption that we were taught culturally, that there was a disruption of the body and a shame that we should have of our body and a fear of our body. If we go a little further in the Old Testament with the prophet Elijah, which is one of the major prophets in Christianity, there was a time when Elijah was fighting against Baal, which is the god of the god of the people at that time, right? The Canaanites. And so it's this fight that he goes against with Jezebel, because allegedly Jezebel was the one who was attempting to eliminate kind of the God of the Israelites, right? Yahweh. And so Jezebel is trying to usher in and really get people more into the culture of Baal. And so that was an older religion, an older spirituality that was polytheistic, that believed in many gods, with the head being El and Asherah. And that was a male and a female deity. And they were worshipped, right? And so later on, it evolved to Baal, which was the son of El and Asherah in that region. And so that's why in the Bible you see this idea that it's against Baal. But there were male and female deities that were being worshipped and revered. And there was a focus on nature, and there was an embodied spirituality that was happening. So we see then with that struggle that, again, we're having this struggle with our bodies, that we're being taught through these stories, and that we should be separated from our bodies, and we should be separated from nature, and that women like Jezebel become synonymous with the idea of promiscuity and wantonness and dirtiness. I mean, whether we want to understand it or not, this is what we carry with us energetically. This is what we carry with us, that we're fighting against nature, we're fighting against our bodies, and it really is in the deep parts of our subconsciousness, whether we understand it or not. And the Bible has mirrored real world issues that were happening at the time with these struggles of moving forward, right? If we then fast forward to the New Testament, Jesus, his idea of the body was very different, and it was wanting to reclaim in some ways these aspects that had been lost. So we're talking about the evolution of consciousness. So he was the Son of God, we're told, right? Incarnated. His spirituality is carnal. And that's a very big thing to say, that that Jesus was not someone that was lofty and that was out there. It was someone who was living and breathing, a person who was embodying this kind of spirituality. And the Bible doesn't say, in the beginning was the Word and the Word remained spirit. No. From John chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word and the Word became flesh. So Jesus reminds us, and we learn here in the New Testament, that we don't limit God's interest to our lives to the things of just quote unquote spirit, like prayer or meditation or Bible study or spiritual study. Instead, it suggests that God is in your home, it's in your job, it's in your daily activity, and it's definitely in your body. And God's body is in all things, in everyone, and all bodies matter. And that was Jesus's ministry, that all bodies mattered, that, poor people, that women's bodies mattered, that lepers' bodies mattered. Everybody's body matters in this embodied spirituality. And let's think about the Last Supper, where Jesus gives the disciples, what does he give them? He doesn't give them something to read. He doesn't say, hey, let's do this like lofty Bible, let's do this lofty study on, Hebrew text here, or, let's do whatever, meditate or what have you. No, we're taught that he actually had people go into ritual and substance with bread and wine. And that's what commemorates Jesus's life and death in the body and the blood, right? So it's very sensual. It's very much this communal, and other things we can think about in Jesus's ministry, like feet washing and the drinking of wine and the anointing of oils. It was all like this sensual, embodied, carnal, community-driven idea and feeling and experience. So the idea then for us is to really understand, how can we experience God sensually and communally via our body? Jesus gave his body as in death as the ultimate living sacrifice, and his body and our bodies are for energetic nourishment. It's for ourselves and for the world. It's like our bodies are a feast of the Spirit. If we go a little bit further in the Old Testament, we see that, rather in the New Testament, we see that the Apostle Paul wants to take Jesus' message a step further, even by taking Jesus' message of understanding the body as the collective. So it's not just about an individual body. He wants to focus on the notion of Jesus' notion of the collective body. In Romans 12, chapter 12, verse 4 and 5, he says, for just as each of us has one body with many members, and these members do not have all the same function, so in Christ we, though many, form one body, and each member belongs to each other in all. And then he says also in Romans that our bodies are a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your spiritual service. I mean, that's deep. Have you ever thought about that? That your body is literally a spiritual service to the world. I mean, that's a whole other way of rethinking our bodies and what we're doing with them. So how do we engage our bodies for spiritual service? Therein is the crux of this conversation this morning. And I'm going to suggest that the path to right relationship with your body is threefold. It's about acknowledging your body, it's about forgiving and asking your body for forgiveness, and it's about celebrating your body. First, acknowledging your body means that we have to acknowledge the toxic relationships to our body, and that our bodies are crying out and telling us things about this relationship. We have to acknowledge that there's negative and toxic messaging that we continue to impose on our bodies, and we got to come clean about it. We just got to come clean and just come out of the closet about those messages that we have with ourselves. And we have to also acknowledge that our body is talking back. Like, your body's going to tell you, I'm done. When we have sickness and when we have illness and when we have pain, it's your body saying, something's not right here. You need to listen to me. Like, I need to do something differently. We are in intimate relationship with our bodies. It's like, have you ever been, I know everyone here has been in a romantic relationship where either someone has hurt you or you have hurt someone. And what happens when you want to get back together again? They're like, nope, I don't trust you. Been there. You're talking a good game, but this is where what you've always said. I mean, it's kind of funny to say that, but it's the same thing. We are literally in a relationship with our body, and we have to get back into right relationship and understanding that that is part of the process. We have to acknowledge that there's a problem, and in acknowledge to our bodies, make acknowledgement that we do want to do better, that we are going to do better. So the other thing then from that is that we have to forgive. And so it's about reestablishing that trust. And Myrtle Fillmore, I love it. If you haven't read How to Let God Help You, that is like a seminal book, because that book will give you a blueprint of how to do this kind of getting into right relationship with your body. After all, we know she healed herself from illness after working these principles for 2 years. And she says that, you have to give your body time and attention, that the body is like a child, she says. It needs constant prompting and training and discipline and praise and appreciation. Your body needs your attention, your love, your training. And look at that wonderful body temple. It is precious to you. Begin to see the body that as the instrument of the soul, which enables you to carry out God's plans here on earth. That's from How to Let God Help You, Myrtle Fillmore. So she's talking about, how do we make our body fall in love with us again? Like, how do we make good and make our body be like, okay, girl, I'm going to be there again with you. Like, I'm going to do this with you again. We have to take that time and attention and become that intimate partner, that honest, intimate, reliable, responsible, and respectful partner with our body. Giving ourselves loving words. Again, in How to Let God Help You, she does this, talking to her liver, talking to her stomach, talking to her limbs. That's things that you could do as well every day. Maybe even writing a letter of apology to your body, or writing a love letter to your body. This is a way to make peace. And the last part is about celebrating your body and focusing on the blessings of your body. Again, taking lead from our co-founder, Myrtle Fillmore. Being able to understand that maybe your body is not where you want it to be, but being okay with it. Recently I shared with you all that I was having issues with my ribs and rib pain and breathing issues. And I've come to realize, like, again, this was another step in my evolution with my relationship with my body. I've worked for years sitting in a chair as a consultant, as many of the work that I've done is sitting in a chair, sometimes 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, not going outside, not getting air, not getting the sunlight. And my body was like, I'm done with you, girl. Like, you've got to find another way. So it's listening to what your body is telling you. And part of that is also just being okay with where your body is at and just accepting it, loving it anyway, and just saying, I'm here today, not stressing, not being in anxiety with it, not being resentful or angry with it, but just saying, okay, this is where we are today. I thank you and I love you anyway. And finding the things that your body is doing so well and the things that you love about your body. So doing that, accepting yourself, feeling good in your skin, celebrating. I'm going to give you all a funny little thing that you can do. I took this from someone else, but I thought it was so cute. Again, we talk about the spiritual and everyday life. How can you affirm your body in your everyday life? We know that words have power and that we do them repetitively. We're training our mind. So what do? We have passwords for our accounts, you know, our Amazon account or whatever. So we have passwords. Instead of like putting your, I don't know, whatever your favorite color or your dog's name, what if you put in your passwords of affirmations to your body, like love my big butt 23? I don't know. Or maybe like wrinkles rule 22 dollar sign, or simply love me number sign 1. I don't know. But there's small things that we can incorporate into our daily lives where we can notice a shift, where we can shift our attention to give our bodies some love. So I ask you today, how can you acknowledge, forgive, and celebrate your body? So I'm going to conclude by saying that, you know, we are all on this spiritual pilgrimage together. And it's a spiritual pilgrimage where we are seeking a sacramental approach to life, in which the body is understood to be sacred because it is the place where God's spirit dwells, right? So when we do this, we're reaching back in time as well to heal our ancestral lineage, to heal our Christian lineage, to reclaim Jezebel, to be able to restore Elijah, to restore Jesus, to do all of these things. I mean, there's energetic power in this. So we're practicing honoring our physical bodies, which also leads to honoring the Christ body in the world. It's a flesh and blood and bone. This is where this is the terrain where God's eternal love and grace is exalted. You know, it's that like juicy, delicious, yummy, divine space where we change the world, where we inhabit a new energetic consciousness. And in the process, we transform the global body, the collective corpus. So I'm going to close with a quote. And it's a quote from this incredible book. I advise it to everyone, called My Body Is Not an Apology, The Power of Radical Self-Love. It's by Sonia Renee Taylor. And she makes the case in her book. I don't know if y'all can see this. Not so much when it comes out this way. But she makes the case for the body as being this transformative portal. And here's what she says. It's through your own transformed relationship with your body that we become champions for our bodies on our planet. And as we awaken to indoctrinated body shame, we feel inspired to awaken others and interrupt the systems that perpetuate body shame and oppression against all bodies. When we act from this truth on a global scale, using the lens of the body, we usher in the opportunity for more just, equitable, and compassionate world for us all. So your body is sacred, and it has the potential to promote and profess and presence the sacred every day. And when you change the relationship to your body, you're changing, you're creating, you are engaging in this great energetic cosmic shift. So go out there, engage your body's lusciousness and your gorgeousness and your fabulosity to do God's work, because it was divinely guided so. And so it is, and so we let it be. We're going to take this into a time of meditation, and I'm going to ask Bruce to give us a little yummies before we go into this time.
Make us one, Lord. Make us one. Holy Spirit, make us one. let your love flow, so the world will know we are one in you.
Thank you. Let's breathe that in. Spirit, make us one. So I invite everyone to just close their eyes and take some beautiful, deep cleansing breaths and just relax into this beautiful, eternal moment. So just get comfortable wherever you are. Notice your breathing. Allow your breath to just release any tension in your body. Shake out whatever you need to shake out. Roll your shoulders, roll your neck, whatever you need to do that your body is asking in this moment to truly just give in and be one with this moment. And I ask you to gently turn your attention to your body. Just all of you, all of your body. And I invite you to invite the God of your understanding to speak to you right now through your body. Take a deep breath. Notice how you feel about life in your body. Are you embarrassed about it? Do you criticize and judge it? Do you resent it for what it does or doesn't do? Have you been abusing your body with stress or work or substances? Do you enjoy your body? And how can you expand that enjoyment? What happens inside you when you consider the idea of honoring your body or meeting God in your body? How does that feel to you? What comes up? Is there anything your body is telling you in this moment right now? Are there any ways that your body needs to feel or be to be in truth? Any negative or toxic roles or boundaries or binaries that you need to let go of in order to truly inhabit your body? As we move into a few minutes of silence, I invite you to sit with your awareness and gently listen for the response. Let it come fully into your awareness in God's presence. As you come to greater awareness of God's presence in and of your body, I invite you to speak the following words with me. You can say them out loud or say them gently to yourself. I acknowledge my God body right here and right now. Seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, intuition become my power to allow the eternal, the absolute. My marvelous and exalted nature begins to register in my soul and body. I see now, I feel now. I visualize the cell structures of my organs vibrating with the mighty and loving energy of Source. My mind is full of clarity, peace, and wisdom. My whole body is set on fire with the sweet, pure, wholesome energy of God. I ask my body for forgiveness. Please forgive me for when I condemned you and called you weak, inefficient, diseased, ugly, unworthy, or less than. I promise to be patient and faithful, and I won't become discouraged if you are slow to wake up to your divine destiny. I will keep on, both silently and aloud, declaring the words of truth. I celebrate my body. I am free, unlimited spirit. I revel in creation breathing, purifying, vitalizing, cleansing breath of life into each cell and fiber of my body, filling me with strength and purpose. Today, I bless my body. Today, I give appreciation and gratitude to my body for allowing me to experience the sacred as my holy temple of life and energy, omnipresent. Thank you, body. Thank you, body. Thank you, body. And so it is. Amen.
Hey, thanks for watching this YouTube video. If Unity's message of positive spiritual living resonates with you, I hope you'll subscribe to our channel so you can stay up to date on other lessons as we post them. Also, if you're able to support us financially in the work that we do in the world, please check below for contact information. You can visit our website, find more about what programming we offer, as well as how to give. Blessings.